Judge Linda Harris, and tonight in the Judgment Room, we examine a case that will chill you to the bone. A sexual predator with 23 criminal charges who terrorized an entire community for over a decade. A missing woman whose disappearance shocked America. And a small town's deadly conspiracy of silence that enabled years of horror to continue unchecked. This is the story of Nathan Sterling, a monster who walked among us. Millbrook County, California, population 3,200, a place where everyone knows everyone else's business, where secrets travel fast, but justice moves slowly, where a man named Nathan Sterling transformed neighborhood watch meetings into reports of terror. For over 10 years, this predator used the community's trust against them, turning their silence into his greatest weapon. 23 separate criminal charges spanning a decade: sexual assault of minors, harassment of elderly women, threats of violence against families who dared to speak out, stalking, intimidation, and psychological warfare. The pattern was clear to anyone willing to see it, but Nathan Sterling had mastered the art of staying just below the radar, just under the threshold of serious prosecution. December 17, 2022. Sarah Cooper, a 52-year-old mother and grandmother, begins her morning routine at 6:30 a.m. By noon, she had vanished without a trace. Burnt food still smoking on the stove, her purse and car keys abandoned on the kitchen counter, her front door standing wide open to the December cold. That same morning, multiple witnesses placed Nathan Sterling near Sarah Cooper's home. He was carrying a large canvas bag and wearing clothes stained with what appeared to be fresh blood. When questioned by concerned neighbors, Nathan claimed he had been hunting. But hunting season in Millbrook County had ended 3 weeks earlier. What was Nathan Sterling really hunting that December morning?
My mother lived in fear of Nathan Sterling for the last 8 months of her life. It started with text messages, crude sexual messages that made her afraid to check her phone. Then he began showing up at her house at all hours, demanding she let him in, claiming he needed to protect her from other men in town. When we called the police, they said unless he physically harmed her, there wasn't much they could do.
Nathan Sterling had been on our radar since 2008. Complaint after complaint, but never quite enough evidence for serious charges. He was intelligent about his predatory behavior. He knew exactly how far he could push before crossing legal lines. He studied the system and exploited every loophole, every gray area in the law.
The last few weeks before she disappeared, Sarah barely left her house. She'd peek through her curtains before going to her mailbox. Nathan would park his truck across the street and just sit there for hours, watching her house. We all saw it happening, but nobody knew what to do. Sarah begged us not to call the police because she was afraid it would make Nathan angrier.
What the community didn't understand was that Nathan Sterling wasn't just harassing Sarah Cooper. He was conducting a campaign of psychological terrorism designed to isolate her from potential help. He had studied her routines, her relationships, her fears. By the time Sarah disappeared, Nathan had already spent months preparing for whatever he planned to do to her.
Nathan heard me for 3 years before anyone believed me. Because I have mental health problems, people thought I was making things up. But I kept detailed journals of every time he attacked me, every threat he made. Nathan knew I was vulnerable, and he used that against me. He told me no one would ever believe a crazy woman over a respected member of the community.
The problem with Nathan Sterling was that his crimes crossed multiple jurisdictions. A harassment complaint in Millbrook, an assault report in Riverside, stalking charges filed in 3 different counties. No single agency had the complete picture of what this man was doing. He was smart enough to spread his criminal activity across different law enforcement territories.
We held neighborhood watch meetings every month, and Nathan's name came up constantly. Mrs. Henderson reported him peeping in her windows. The Johnsons said he followed their teenage daughter home from school. but somehow nothing ever stuck. People started to think maybe it was easier to just avoid him than to keep filing complaints that went nowhere.
Nathan Sterling's own home told a story of a man consumed by paranoid obsessions. Security cameras pointed at neighboring houses, notebooks filled with details about his victims' daily routines, and according to police who later searched the property, evidence that he had been planning Sarah Cooper's abduction for months.
Sarah Cooper was a creature of habit. Every morning at 6:30, she made coffee and started breakfast. At 7, she'd call her son Daniel to check on her granddaughter. At 7:30, she'd step outside to get the newspaper. December 17th was different. The coffee was never made. The call to Daniel never happened. But someone had been in her kitchen that morning.
I was walking my dog around 7:15 when I saw Nathan coming out of the woods behind Sarah's house. He was carrying this big canvas bag that looked heavy, dragging it behind him. His pants had dark stains on them that looked like blood. When he saw me watching, he got real aggressive, told me to mind my own business and get the hell away from there.
We brought in cadaver dogs from 3 different counties. The dogs tracked Sarah's scent from her kitchen door to the tree line behind her property, then picked up the trail again, about half a mile deeper in the woods. But then the scent disappeared completely, like she had been transported in a vehicle. We searched every inch of those woods for weeks.
The tire tracks we found at the old logging road were from a heavy-duty pickup truck consistent with Nathan Sterling's vehicle. The tracks showed signs of a hurried departure with deep impressions suggesting the truck was carrying additional weight when it left the scene.
Among the items recovered from the search area, we found Sarah Cooper's reading glasses and a fragment of her morning robe. The positioning of these items suggested they had been deliberately scattered, possibly to mislead investigators about the direction of travel.
While the search for Sarah Cooper continued, investigators finally had enough evidence to arrest Nathan Sterling on unrelated charges. Security footage from downtown Millbrook showed him stalking and assaulting a vulnerable victim. When police searched Nathan's property, they found evidence that would change everything about this case. When we return, we'll reveal the shocking discoveries that exposed Nathan Sterling as one of the most dangerous predators in California history.